You probably heard that there are feed additives that you can give to cattle and ruminants to reduce their methane emission. So this is a summary of these available categories of feed additives and what's known about them in terms of the stage of development or adoption. Let's think of it as a technology readiness level, and whether it's already been demonstrated in terms of methane reduction. You can think of it in terms of per kilogram of milk or meat, and what are the risks and drawbacks as can be understood by using existing literature or meta-analysis from Project Drawdown. I have an entire series of podcasts on Drawdown, which is from the book by Paul Hawken, and Project Drawdown puts out these new things regularly, and I always look out for them and try to put it into a podcast if they seem interesting enough and promising enough and so on. So what are the categories? Let's start with oils and oil seeds, and the sample feed additive there is sunflower oil. There is more research needed and it's not yet widely adopted, but 14 to 21% average methane reduction is expected per kilo of milk or meat, and the risks and drawbacks are that this can decrease milk production, appetite and growth of the animal, which is not what you want. Seaweeds, marine algae are a big newsmakers in terms of their ability to be grown in the coastal waters and not needing new land, and they don't need fertilizers, etc., and they can grow very rapidly, and they can sequester carbon, etc. Can you harvest them and use the asparagopsis in the feed as a feed additive, even though there is still not enough data for meta-analysis of this additive, and this is variable dose. Some studies show very high reduction, so it's still not very high in terms of demonstrated methane reductions, and it can cause reduced milk production and appetite. What about alternative electron acceptors? This is nitrate as a sample feed additive. Farmers receiving carbon credits for use in Australia already, and arguably it reduces methane by 11 to 19%, but it can convert to nitrate and poison the ruminants, and may also increase nitrous oxide emissions in manure. So you may reduce methane, but you may increase nitrous oxide and may also cause nitrate poisoning of the ruminants, which is not what you want. So the safety is always important. Methane reduction cannot be just a tunnel vision. You have to also make sure the milk production, meat production doesn't suffer, or that animals themselves don't suffer, and so on, right? Or you don't have unintended consequences like increased nitrous oxides from manure, which, nitrous oxide is a couple of hundred times more potent as a global warming gas compared to CO2, and it has a long residence time of a couple of hundred years as well. Ionophores, so this is monensis is the feed additive, and here this is in wide use already for other reasons, already approved for those reasons in many countries, and the methane reduction is minimal as far as what is demonstrated, and this could lead to antibiotic resistance, so you don't want that. Methane inhibitors, directly using methane inhibitors as feed additives. This is trinitropropanol, tri-NOP Bovaer is the chemical name, or the product name, and here it's approved in 55 countries since 2021. Actual adoption is unclear in terms of meta-analysis from published literature or reports, but there's a claim of 32.5% reduction in methane per kilogram of milk or meat, with a side effect being that it may increase emissions from manure. Okay. This is phytochemicals, tannins is the sample feed additive here. This is not in wide use as feed additive, but present in alfalfa and tree fodders, which are used naturally for as feed. And alfalfa is also, I think, supposed to increase the fat content of the milk, if I remember correctly. You can check. It's demonstrated to have a potential to reduce 14.5% of the methane per kilogram of milk or meat, but in high doses it can be toxic. Tannins can be toxic. Okay, essential oils as an additive. Garlic oil is an example. More research is needed here, so it's not yet widely adopted as far as literature is concerned. Demonstrated average methane reduction per kilogram of milk or meat is 10%, but it's promising. While being promising, it's toxic at higher doses and can cause polio in cattle. You don't want that. You don't want to bloody give polio to poor cattle. For sure, you want to be careful. Garlic oil comes up in many other things like a natural pesticide and so on and so forth. And garlic oil as a supplement for human beings is arguably good for reducing blood pressure, maybe cholesterol and so on. So you can check on that as well. So it's a brief podcast, but I decided to include it because anything you can do to reduce meat consumption is good, but culturally people want to rely on meat, or there is it's a protein source for many cultures as well, and also it's tasty, right? Once in a while you may want to have a burger or a steak. Considering all that, is there a way to reduce methane emissions from cattle? Maybe find other ways of reducing their environmental footprint as well, and so on and so forth. So I'll leave it there. Just a kind of a short podcast that's cute and interesting. So I'll leave it here. Okay. See you in the next podcast. The topic there is operationalizing climate modeling. What do we mean by that? We'll come back and look at it.